What's the best caulking and sealant to use on your roof? We're gonna find out. We're gonna be doing 4 different tests to find out which caulking has the best strength, pull, flexibility, and paint adhesion. I wanna test how well paint holds onto these sealants. We use these sealants to seal around pipes, flashings, and things like that. Then we go over and paint them. How well the paint holds is gonna be determined based off the quality of paint. And in order to keep that constant, we're gonna be using the same paint on all these sealants and seeing which one holds the best. Now we've got the caulking applied, we spray painted it on there, and we're gonna see what holds the paint the best. Out of all our tests, it is probably the least important. However, it is something to consider. If you have somewhere that's visible on the roof that you wanna have it painted, you wanna make sure the paint's gonna stick on there for a long time. Now these two are 100% silicone caulking, so I'm not surprised that they're not holding paint. This test performed somewhat to what I was thinking. The worst performers were the 100% silicones, which is obvious. Silicone is never made to hold paint. And if you probably read the manufacturer specifications for these two sealants, they'll probably say not a paintable surface, but it's good to put that theory to the test. So these two performed the worst. The Chemlinks performed, I would say, the second worst. So these, I think, have a little bit of silicone compound in them. Then we had a third tier, which was probably the Henry's flashing, the Mastic, and I would say also the RainBuster performed second best, and the best performers were probably the Henry's all-purpose and probably the through the roof, which I'm surprised that was a clear adhesive. So now for this test, I'm gonna be rating each sealant from 1 to 3 because this is the least important test in my opinion. We don't want to give it as much weight as the other tests. The other tests that we're gonna be doing next are gonna be the more critical tests, and we're gonna be giving it scores from 1 to 10, just so that at the end we can get what I believe is the best sealant for your roof. On this sample board, we're gonna be doing 2 tests. The first test is going to be a pool test. We're going to be putting a large dab of caulking sealant behind this plate right here and sticking it down to the wood. Once that dries, we're going to be pulling each one of these and measuring how many pounds of pressure it takes to release this hook from the wood board. The second test on the same board is going to be applying a thick 1/4 inch bead of caulking right along here. Once it dries, we're going to measure how many pounds of pressure it takes to cut through that caulking, measuring the tensile strength of each product. Now all these adhesives have dried. It's time to do 2 different tests. The first test we're going to be doing, seeing how many pounds of pressure it takes to cut through these thick 1/2 inch beads of adhesive. We're going to be using this and pushing down. This is not a sharp blade. It's pretty much just a 90-degree piece of metal. This is, I think, going to be the lesser of the important of the test. Strength and also pliability is the most important. This is testing the hardness. So a soft material is not necessarily bad when it comes to waterproofing, because you want to stay a little soft, a little rubbery, so that it bends and pulls as building materials change, but it is a factor. I'm going to be grading all these adhesives between 1 and 4 to give it the weight when it comes to our total tally. Alright, so the first one that took 57.4 pounds of pressure to cut through this. I'm going to make a note on here for ourselves. Both these Henrys were very similar. The first one measuring at 57.4, the second measuring at 57.8. Now we're off to the Henry Silicone. I have a feeling this is going to be a harder material. I can already feel it. And that was correct, and that measures at 80.6 pounds. Next we have the Gorilla. All right, interestingly, that measured the same as the Henry's at 83.8. The next one, the through the roof, 29 pounds. And this one is probably gonna be definitely our weakest. Yeah, that's a 8.6. Again, this mastic is not an adhesive per se, and being that it's an asphalt based product, I just wanted to put it in here as a point of reference to compare it to the rest of these adhesives, but really not a fair apples to apples comparison. Next, we have the RainBuster, which I believe is going to perform quite well on this test as well. All right, it's at 78.7, which is actually almost close to the Gorillas and the Silicone. Next, we have the Loctite Roof Flash, and that's at 87.6. That doesn't necessarily surprise me because Loctite is definitely known for its adhesives. They have a polyurethane-based adhesive, which is a strong adhesive that drives extremely hard. So I'm not surprised that this is performing well under this test. I have a feeling it's going to perform well under the pool test as well. Next, we have the Chemlink M1. All right, that seems to be the highest right now. I measured 103. I'm going to give it another test. Yep, same thing, 104.2. That is impressive, definitely. And next we have the Chemlink NobleLink. The NobleLink is a cheaper line of sealants, adhesives. So let's see how this measures compared to the Chemlink. 63. So as I mentioned, this test is, in my opinion, not the most important test when it comes to picking a sealant for your roof. However, it's definitely something to take into consideration. I'm going to be rating these from 4 to 0, so 4 being the strongest, 0 being the weakest. And we do have a clear winner, Chemlink M1, won by a long shot. So I'm going to put these numbers on the board and get to our next test. Now that the samples have dried, we're ready to do our pool test. I think it's going to be one of the most critical tests to see how each adhesive bonds to both metal and wood. Let's get at it. That was easy. Okay, one more. Oh, dang. The other way is to get the forklift to do it. Okay, let's do that. Chris, where you at? I need you. Come down, I need your help. Now on the RainBuster 900, my deadlift was not strong enough. Probably hit around 200-300 pounds where I was like, all right, enough's enough. We're gonna be using the forklift to get it up. So let's see what it rates with the forklift. Chris, down. We're gonna have 2 people stand on it. Mark up!
Slowly up.
Oh, you're wearing left foot? Oh, jeez. And is it?
No, it didn't pull. It pulled off the wood.
The wood broke.
Okay.
Oh, dang. All right, up. Okay. Down. Up again.
Slowly. That was over 300.
Down. Up. All right. Ready? Now that the testing is done, I want to give you an overview of my findings and a summary of my thoughts. Definitely the low performers were the Gorilla Caulking, the Through the Roof, and a clear winner was definitely the RainBuster 900 as well as a Chemlink M1. The RainBuster 900, you can see, has pulled out the wood itself. The RainBuster itself didn't fail. What really failed was the strength of the wood because we didn't get the caulking and the adhesive to actually come apart. The wood failed us first, so we actually don't know the true strength of this adhesive. We know know that the wood is weaker than the adhesive, which is awesome to see. We had a similar problem with the Chemlink M1 where we had the wood peeling off. On the other side of the spectrum, we have like the Gorilla, which came off clear from the wood. So you can see the wood was left clean. So this product does not adhere well to wood. And we also have products like the Chemlink Novalink, which you can see has separated at the adhesive points. And we also have products like the Henry's, which left the metal clean and all the adhesive stayed on the wood. This is the real world application where you're not just bonding metal to metal, but sometimes you're bonding unlike materials. So I would say by far the clear winners, the RainBuster and the Chemlink M1, and the clear losers are probably the Through the Roof, the Gorilla, the Henry's 100% silicone, which to me was honestly a surprise. It is what it is. So it was a very interesting test and we learned a lot. What I'm gonna do now in order to get a good side-by-side comparison for our test, I'm gonna fill in the ratings and score of this. Because this is such an important part of the strength of an adhesive, the bonding strength, I'm gonna rate it from a scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna rate it from lowest to highest for us to be able to compare all these products side by side. All right, this test I think is probably the most relevant and most important test when it comes to sealants on your roof. What we're gonna be doing is applying a bead of caulking right here between these two metals. Once it dries, we're gonna test the flexibility of it. So we're gonna be bending this metal back and forth, seeing how many bends we can get before that caulking compromises. The reason I think this is really important is because around flashings and pipes and penetrations, you have that similar movement of things moving, and the longer your caulking lasts, the longer your roof will stay leak-free. We've taken about 2 weeks, our samples have dried, and we're ready to put it to the test. Let's see which one gets the most bends before breaking. Now that we've got to 1,000, what I want to do is bend the opposite way to add more tension to the joint to see if we can get it to tear. So we got about 20-degree bend before it snapped. We are at 1,000 now, and let's see how much of a bend we can get in the opposite direction. Getting a good stretch. All right, so we got here, I would say that's a good 60%. I would give that like a 20. $33. Alright. I have 45 degrees. So there was a clear winner. The Loctite definitely took it by far. I still haven't been able to break it. The clear loser was the Gorilla waterproof and caulk at only 3 bends. I would give this 0 points. The last thing, we can add up the totals and see who's winning.
Very close. 1 point apart.
So we've added up the totals, and I think there's definitely some clear winners and some clear losers. I want to start off by the losers and which ones you shouldn't even entertain. This right here. You can't even find this in the market. I had to order it on Amazon, so it's not even like it's readily available. It only scored a 6. Paint doesn't adhere to it at all. Doesn't do a great job in holding, and does a horrible job in bending and failed immediately. So this one, I would say, belongs in the trash, not on your roof. The other killer fail, which is honestly not even a fair comparison, but was a liquid nail roof repair. That's a mastic based product and shouldn't even be on this list. I just wanted to kind of get a side-by-side comparisons. If you're looking for a sealant adhesive caulking, don't go with a mastic. That has its own use case and its own application. The next two I think are worth comparing side by side are the two Henry's product. One of them is a construction sealant and the other one is the tropical 100% silicone. The 100% silicone performed worse than the adhesive, the sealant, and I would say this is a fail. Both of them can be found at Home Depot. That's one advantage, that's readily available. Eliminating the silicone is a no-brainer. Unless you're repairing a silicone coated roof, no reason to use this. I would stick with Henry's sealant. However, this is not the highest performer either. I think it's an average, mediocre product that's worth kind of keeping on the list. The next thing I want to do is compare the clear adhesive. We have three options here. We have the Henry's All-Purpose, we have the Through the Roof, and lastly we have the Chemlink Novolink. The exact product is not a clear product. The same Novolink does have a clear option. So comparing these three, the Chemlink Novolink is the way to go. We're down to our three winners. The highest rated is definitely the RainBuster 900 with 23 points total. The next one down is interestingly Loctite, and the last one on the heavy hitters list is the Chemlink M1. Now, we've personally, as a company, been using Chemlink M1 for about 8 years now and have been very happy with it. These three are definitely, you can't go wrong with them. One thing to note is the Loctite does come black, which I'm not a huge fan of, because if you're gonna be working on a white roof and you're gonna be painting the Loctite white, I think you might run into some difficulties there. However, it does hold paint very well. The RainBuster is definitely the winner. The adhesion power of it, as well as the bendability, make it a great product to use. Paint sticks to it very well, and the other thing is it also applies very well. Whether you're using the RainBuster, the Loctite, or the M1, you can't go wrong. And at the end of the day, it also depends on what's available in your market and suppliers near you. Let me know in the comments below what you like to use, and also if you were surprised by any of the test results here, I would love to hear what you think.